Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in episode 7 of Skeleton Crew. There were so many tiny details and callbacks in this episode, and we're going to talk about Jude Law's hard heel turn and whether or not you guys think it worked. Also, you guys lit up our Discord server with Easter eggs that we didn't catch, so I'm excited to share those with you. Before we get started, this weekend on Sunday, I will be in LA and then in Phoenix on Monday for our live show. ScreenCrush Live features exclusive breakdowns you can only see on stage, special guests, and we're going to discover heavy spoilers plot to destroy our channel. But most of all, I want to meet you guys face to face. We're going to have a sneak peek of the live show later in the video, and ticket links are below. So the episode is called We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble, which of course has a couple meanings. The episode starts off very playfully with the kids thinking their biggest problem is that they have to take the space communist SATs.
I still have to take assessment.
So, we're gonna get in trouble at this point refers to their parents grounding them.
I want no playing, no reading, and no thinking about fun stuff. You are being grounded.
But then the episode takes this incredibly dark turn where we see that Jude isn't a pirate with a heart of gold, he's just a straight up murderer. So We're in Trouble eventually takes on an existential meaning. Not only are the kids' lives in danger, but so are their parents' lives and their entire society, making this episode actually a metaphor for growing up and losing your innocence. The episode begins with the parents gathering together in the woods. So this entire sequence to me seemed like a nod to various scenes in the movie E.T. That movie begins with the aliens in the woods being chased by government operatives, but all we ever see of these operatives are silhouettes and flashlights, just like the single headlight of the droids that we see in the woods. Later in the movie, E.T. also builds a device in the woods to help him phone home, like the device the parents are building here, and the little beacon itself looks a little bit like E.T.'s ship. And of course, the idea of putting an encoded hologram message into a droid goes all the way back to Leia's message to Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
And of course, Neil's mom says,
I have a...
which of course was her saying, I have a bad feeling about this, which is a famous Star Wars line that has been spoken in every live-action Star Wars saga film.
Nuh-uh, it wasn't in The Last Jedi.
Actually, BB-8 says it here.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Sorry, I meant he says it here. Back on the Onyx Cinder, the kids are playing Grav Ball. So this is a game played across the galaxy, especially on the planet Lothal, that has been mentioned in print several times, but never actually seen in live action. It was first written about in the junior novel Servants of the Empire, Edge of the Galaxy by Jason Fry. Andy Kirk on Twitter pointed out that when Fern sits down, she says,
"Told you I'd get us home,"
which is an homage to Han's line in Jedi.
I told you it was gonna work.
Notice how the Onyx Cinder looks sleeker and more clean. Now this is a subtle way to indicate that this is no longer a crusty old ship that belongs to the pirates with metaphorical barnacles attached to the hull. Now it is a ship run by kids, temporarily, because the pirates are in hot pursuit. So I want to give yet another shout out to composer Mick Giacchino, who creates a pirate theme that sounds so Star Wars it could have been composed by John Williams himself. The show has done a good job at hinting at the dynamics at play within this pirate crew. For instance, Chalet, the pirate played by Dale Soules from Orange is the New Black, obviously has some lingering loyalties towards Silvo. She's the one who enforced the rules of the Pirates Code last episode that kept him alive, and here she is the person who stops Brutus from launching him out of the airlock, which is the Star Wars equivalent of walking the plank. Brutus agrees to allow Glurb to fly into the planet.
Who's Glurb?
He is the Quarren who had dreams of starting up a kelp farm.
That glowweed plantation we all know you're saving up for. Imagine if you could buy yourself an entire ocean.
Like, I love that they gave this guy just a little bit of backstory so we would care when he dies. Now, there's a few Easter eggs in this scene that are really
Sugar! What's going on with him? Why, sugar!
I think he's still buzzing from all that Christmas candy.
Sugar. Oh, I cannot have Christmas candy because I would die. Say, person, what is that you're doing?
Well, I am mixing up a sugar to fiber drink. You see, it converts the extra sugar in my gut into fiber, something I can actually use.
What? Are you kidding me? Is that magic?
Doug, it's not magic, it's science. Guys, look, whether or not you think you eat a lot of sugar, there is a lot of sugar in so many foods we eat these days that, well, it's become hard to avoid. And that is why I recommend Zbiotics Sugar to Fiber. They're the sponsor of this video. See, the PhD microbiologists over at Zbiotics understand that extra sugar is all but impossible for us to avoid these days, and 95% of Americans don't get enough fiber. So they genetically engineered a probiotic to convert some extra sugar from our everyday diet into a prebiotic fiber called leaven. So this leads to a more balanced microbiome, the key to a healthy gut. So a 1-stick pack of sugar to fiber, and you're going to get a daily dose of fiber from the foods that you already eat. So this delivery of fiber happens slowly throughout the day, which is how your microbiome prefers it. I started drinking sugar to fiber every morning in my coffee, and that's the beauty. You can add to any drink, water, smoothies, whatever works for you. So I didn't have to change my daily routine. I just add in a packet and stir. What I like about this is sugar to fiber is actually taking something that I'm already eating and then changing it to a different route to create a healthier outcome. I don't have to add something new into my routine. And look, you guys know Zbiotics. We talk about them all the time for their pre-alcohol probiotic to help you with your rough mornings after drinking. So to get started with Zbiotics today, scan this QR code or go to zbiotics.com/ScreenCrush and use the code ScreenCrush at checkout for 15% off your first order of Zbiotics probiotic. Zbiotics has a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. Thank you again to Zbiotics for sponsoring this video. Sugar! Here, this is for you. Thank you. So, like I was saying, the snub fighters that the pirates fly were first seen in The Mandalorian Season 3, when Den's covert fought off the pirate Gorian Shard. And shout out to Screen Rant's Kevin Erdman for catching that Glurb's call sign, Ravager 1, is a deep-cut Star Wars Easter egg. The Ravagers are a pirate gang from Legends who operate near the Rishi Maze, who debuted in the game Star Wars The Old Republic Shadow of Revan. Now, the pirate crew are made up of the same species that we've talked about in our past breakdowns, but just in case this is your very first ScreenCrush video, welcome by the way, let's run through these different species. There's a Kateran in the background here to the left, a Shydop to the right with the Trandoshan in the back, an Aqualish right here, and of course Thane is a Nikto sitting in front of a console that in Arabesh reads warning. And I also think the design of this console was lifted from the cardboard packaging of the original Star Wars action figures from the 70s and 80s. And to the left here we see a Klaatu, and that species on the right is your mom. And of course Captain Brutus is a Shistavanen, a werewolf species that first appeared in the original cut of A New Hope that George Lucas later replaced with the CG character in the special edition. And then 33 shows up, which, okay, I was wrong about something that happened in the last episode. When Wim saw that droid on the junk pile, I said that it was 33 because it had a crab crawling out of its eye, but
I was wrong.
It was just an older model of a KX series droid similar to K2SO from Rogue One. It could be that this particular model of droid just has a weak eye socket, which is why the hermit crab was inside of the same eye socket as the little mouse is inside of 33's head. And when they're all watching the pilot's progress, the Arabesh here reads signal lost. It's just backwards because the pirates are looking at it from the other side. And when they bring up the holo of the Onyx Cinder, this sound is the same as the holograms that we first heard in Return of the Jedi.
It is relatively unprotected.
Back on the ship, notice how the console of the Onyx cylinder is composed of circular screens, just like another old ship, the Naboo Starfighters and the Nubian Star Cruiser from the Phantom Menace.
That's an older Easter egg, sir, but it checks out.
And then the pirates catch the Cinder in a tractor beam, an obvious callback to the Death Star capturing the Millennium Falcon in A New Hope. But this explains why the Cinder had the ability to detonate their external armor plating. In situations like this, detonating that plating would allow them to escape capture because the tractor beam would then go after the wreckage of the hull.
Yeah, or they would think the ship was destroyed and the Cinder could float away with the garbage, like the Falcon in Empire.
Good one, high five. And quick reminder, guys, to check out our merch store for lots of fun Star Wars parody designs, such as Darth Vader from planet Vulcan, Grogu booping a Rancor, and evil will always triumph because good is dumb. Now we've also taken some of your favorite designs like the original trilogy and somehow Palpatine returned, and we put them on hoodies for cold weather. We are also always adding new designs, having sales, so subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss out on any new deals. So I want to quickly shout out that the pirate Coma here is wearing an armored vest that is attached with these ridges at the shoulders that make it look like a modified plate of Stormtrooper armor, which frankly is a stupid piece of gear to appropriate because their armor never stopped a single blaster bolt in any movie ever.
What's the point?
This Arabesh reads, initiate DA, and I cannot read the rest of it because the screen was too blurry, except for this part that reads incoming encryption. In the message from their parents, Neil's mom says,
he got a shiny new datary.
Now, a datary is another term for a Republic credit, but I think the only other person we've heard use that term was Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace.
I have 20,000 Republic dactaries.
And I love this detail because because Qui-Gon is, one of the oldest Jedi we met at that point, so maybe he grew up when some people were still using that outdated term for a credit. The parents tell the kids to find a Republic emissary, and notice that they said Republic and not New Republic because they have no idea there was a galactic civil war and the original Republic fell. We also find out that the mission of Adaton is so secretive that none of the kids are told what they actually do until after they graduate. Then this pirate speaks to the kids in Huttese, inspiring Wim to ignore Fern's plan and go in like Leroy Jenkins. Amazingly, this kind of works, as Fern then uses some of that droid manipulation logic to give 33 an excuse to join their side again.
I call Enclaves these enclaves for kids only.
I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
Aye, but it'd be close enough.
So this is a recurring motif of this show, showing us that the droids are easy to manipulate. I bet anything that the mysterious supervisor, voiced by Stephen Fry, turns out to be a droid. In fact, a few episodes ago I theorized that Adaton was going to be run by an automated machine, like in the Star Trek original series episode The Return of the Archons, where it's revealed that the people of a planet have been secretly ruled by a computer named Landru for 6,000 years.
Landru died 6,000 years ago. He may have programmed you, but he could not have given you a soul.
Now this would be a metaphor for how people in this society should be making their own decisions instead of simply following the machine-like conformity enforced by their suburban lives. This is an obvious metaphor for how we live our lives in the present day, but hey, I'll hold off to the finale to go down that rabbit hole. As they descend into the atmosphere, we see these giant machines creating storms, just like the devices that we saw around at Akron a couple episodes ago. And in that episode, we pointed out how they are like the world destroyers that Palpatine used in Operation Cinder in the game Star Wars Battlefront 2. And notice how the colors of the machine change from red to green as they pass, proving that even in a galaxy far, far away, civil engineers discriminate against the colorblind.
Yeah, stupid civil engineers.
And then Jod does a full heel turn and comes out swinging.
Stay with your kids, I'll undo this.
33!
Now look, I theorized on our Discord that 33 is actually the legendary pirate Captain Renard. I mean, why else would they keep his face hidden in a hologram? But now I have a new theory. This little mouse is actually Captain Renard.
Ah, geez, person, let it go.
He could be, just let me have this. Now, what follows is an incredibly menacing sequence where Silvo, man, he just gets plain mean.
You're all weak, sheltered, spoiled children.
But there's also something subtle happening here to scare you prequel kids out there. He's holding his lightsaber in front of the children, just like Anakin did before he killed the younglings. Now, it's not the last allusion to Anakin that we see in this episode, but I'll talk about the other one later on. On our free-to-join Discord server, the link is below by the way, you guys talked about how he comes out using the aggressive Form 7, the same one favored by Mace Windu and his Padawan, Pong Krell. Now, Pong Krell was a Jedi who fell to the dark side during the Clone Wars and was actually fragged by his men. It's actually a great arc of the Clone Wars. You should watch it because it shows how the Jedi compromised their morals during that war. So, it could be that since Jod Nana Wood uses the same form as Pong Krell, maybe he was Pong Krell's Padawan. So it's not a stretch to imagine that his master, Pong Krell, turned to the dark side and then was killed by clones. This would have made Silvo disenchanted with the Jedi Order and the Republic, and I could see him leaving his training to embrace a life of crime. I really hope next episode gives us some kind of backstory to this character. And I also want to point out that the saber he's using is silver and gold, which are the colors favored by the Jedi in the High Republic era. So it would make sense if the saber came from the High Republic, like this one. So then he takes control of the ship. Right here we see a relief sculpture that matches the image that we saw on the parchment a few episodes ago, which depicted how Adaton was founded. Now notice how it's been so long since anyone visited the planet that people had no idea there was even a landing platform about to open, which is why we see this Rhodian scream to get out of the way. In the crowd we see this furry species that looks like a less creepy Furby. Now these are Vizuans, the same species as the kid Runa who we saw in the classroom in episode 1. Then they descend into the bowels of the planet to find the mint. Now earlier, 33 invoked the name of another Disney space pirate adventure story.
According to Captain Renard, the real treasure planet be hidden inside an endless storm.
And, spoiler alert, Treasure Planet's treasure is also buried far beneath the surface of the planet, just like we see in this episode. So the machine controlling the vault is a giant insectoid with multiple arms, which is similar to how the machines were depicted in the Matrix universe. Now, I bring this up for two reasons. One, our editor Randolf has been assigned this section and he's never seen the Matrix, so I'm trying to shame him into watching it. And two, this goes back to what I said earlier about human beings' lives being run by machines, and how this will be a metaphor for how in our own lives we allow our viewing habits to be dictated by algorithms. I mean, like the parents say here,
"You droids don't listen."
the machines treat Jod like a visiting dignitary without wondering why he's dressed like a pirate, which, by the way, great costume design. The loose shirt tucked in with a dueling pistol in his belt very much calls to mind the look of pirate serials that inspired John Watts and his team to create this show. And it's about time somebody brought back the pirate look.
But I don't want to be a pirate!
The droids say,
"We'd hoped you'd be pleased."
Which is what the Kaminoan said to Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones.
Very impressive.
"I'd hoped you would be pleased."
Now, in both cases, a person arrives to a secluded community and poses as a representative of the people who commissioned this secret work to be made. And because the work was done in secret, the administrators assume that this visitor automatically has authority over them. It's a very subtle, clever parallel, a way to show that machine-like societies can quickly turn into dictatorships like the Galactic Empire. In fact, people in our Discord and Soft Manigan on Twitter both pointed out that the central tower of Adaton is based on the TV tower of formerly East Berlin. So this is all part of an architectural movement called brutalism, which was favored in Soviet bloc countries. Now, being that Adaton is a communist society where money is worthless because, well, the money is everywhere, it makes sense that the filmmakers would emulate this historical period with Adaton's production design. I also thought the giant moving platforms were straight out of Star Wars platform games like Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order, and the vault itself immediately calls to mind Area 51 and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Sure. When Jod asks how many vaults there are, the droid says
1,139.
Now that number is 1139, one more than George Lucas's THX 1138, which is another story about machines running a society, forcing humans to do menial work in a conforming environment. I think this is the show's subtle way of saying that this show is a spiritual sequel to that movie. And when he finally gets into the vault, listen to the score. To me, this mesh of high-pitched violin sounds like an homage to the moment when Anakin decided to kill the Tusken Raiders. In both instances, we see a character finally slipping toward evil, and this is a complete full-circle moment for Jod. The season began with him finding an empty vault, and now his arc is complete, as he finds more treasure in a vault than he could have ever dreamed of. And the parents reuniting with the kids is very much like the reunion at the end of the Goonies, but it's short-lived as Jod's got that saber and he wants to use it. Well guys, that was another fun ScreenCrush video for another perfect day here in the ScreenCrush universe. Gosh, I love you guys, I love our fans, and I love my job.
Yeah, it sure is great being us.
I hate that screen crushing Ryan Airy. You see, Paul from the Heavy Spoilers channel, I also hate small dogs because obviously I'm a bad person. Now I know something that's really going to get them. I'm going to send them to a far away, far distant city where they can never come back. I'm sending them to
Los Angeles, California.
Well, I don't know, boss. That seems kind of mean.
Shut up or I'll give you a fresh one. Now activate the Destructo Beam.
Wow, we must be in Los Angeles. Doug! Gee, I hope he's okay. That's right, we are coming to you live in Los Angeles with special guests The Real Rejects and Whitney Van Landingham. I cannot wait to show you guys our new show. We're doing Pee-wee's Playhouse for Nerds with exclusive breakdowns, puppets, fake celebrity guests, and you only get to see this in the live show. Mostly though, my favorite part of the live shows is getting to meet you guys, be in the same room, answering your questions, and saying a bunch of stuff that'll probably get me canceled. Some of you are not good-looking people. Ticket links are below. So, what did you guys think of the episode? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. You can @me on Twitter or find me on our free-to-join Discord server. The link for that is below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.